はいはい。
Okay. That is maybe what time is it? What time? Oh,
6 more
time.
minutes. 6 or 7 more minutes.
Hi. Good morning. Here in Japan is 8:30 in the midnight. No, no problem at all. So, what time? Your time? What is your time?
Go ahead.
7 o'clock in Cleveland. In Cleveland. Oh, good. Very good. So I would like to just mention about who we are. What's the two things here? The thing is here. Although we are exactly we ourselves, we are exactly we ourselves. No doubt, no problem at all. But unfortunately, we don't know much about who we are, what truth is. This is a whole problem. This is the most miserable things for us. See, so that's the reason we have to just figure out who we are. You see, what you're thinking about the self or yourself is entirely different from who you are. What true yourself is entirely different. Totally misunderstanding. See, that's reason we have to do that in order to just encounter to ourselves, true self. Only that you may be able to just encounter, face to your true self. The reason why the Shakyamuni Buddha, only the one person, as long as the human beings are conscious. Only Shakyamuni Buddha, just the first person who just encountered through ourselves. He is the first person who just encountered true person. As I mentioned about, our true self is entirely, completely, thoroughly different what you're thinking about yourself. That is what you're thinking about yourself is a kind of imagination, creation of a thinking or thought. That is not true. That is not true. Although it's easy to say to just practice that, but it's very different. It's very different because we are just sticking at the thinking or thought. So what the Shakyamuni Buddha the teaching us, we just figure out, we just forget about our thinking or thought completely. It's very difficult. It's very difficult, but it's the most the variable things for us to do. You see, because I just mentioned it, what we are thinking about ourselves entirely different, entirely different from our true selves. That's reason Shakyamuni Buddha or the patriarchs we just realized of who we are. Recommend us to do Zazen. As I just mentioned about it, the Zazen is very easy. We don't need a huge space. Only one square meter as that space. That is enough. Today, if you have a kind of cushion, round cushion, that should be fine. If you don't have, just sit on the floor. That's enough. It's very easy. You don't need to do anything. It's only just sit. Then what you have to do is what the zazen is, whatever this whatever thinking or thoughts come out in your mind, just simply throw them away as they are. You see, never touch it, never touch it, never try to figure out what the reason the thinking also to come up. You see, never do it. Right? This is Zazen. Then someday, you'll be able to just encounter through yourself. Only this way, you'll be able to figure out who you are. This is Zazen. This Zazen, what the Shakyamuni Buddha did. See? So I would like to just recommend you to do this Zazen. Okay. So we go back to today's the text or text number. Where is it? Where is it? Let me see. Where is it? Oh yeah, there it is. Number 13. He said not to touch, not to touch. This is a very important thing. Once the Jinen Roshi just as they said, you don't know much about how to figure out how to deal with thinking or thought. You don't know much about how to deal with thinking or thought. Then someone just asked, how we have to do. Then he said, never touch it, never touch it. Just leave it. Just leave it as it is. This is enough. Then you'll be able to just encounter through yourself. See, only this way. So this is Zazen. Although it may be very difficult, especially for Westerner, our European. It's very difficult. Even Japanese. Japanese people just become more like Westernized, so that thinking was thought, too much thinking, too much thought. So even Japanese people, it's become quite much difficult to release the thinking of thought as but only this way, you'll be able to just encounter. You'll be just realize who you are. Okay, so what's the Jinen Roshi, the teachers with number 34? Not to touch. This is a very important thing. As long as you just the encounter through yourself. When you just do Zazen, this way you have to just do Zazen. Otherwise, you never be able to just encounter your true self. Okay, so once again, Roshi says, teachers, earthly desires means all the things which come out on human being. Everything that appears for better or worse, to all the sort of things you have the feeling good or bad. Pick up a problem and start to deal, which is called earthly desire. See, earthly desire is question or problem or trouble, whatever you just thinking of, a kind of suffering matter. You see, thinking or thought, as I just mentioned, thinking or thought just come out without any reason, without any reason. Those things we don't know much about. See, what people just thinking about thinking of thought is a kind of what we call the self. This in this body, you see, a kind of the self exists in this body. This is a total misunderstanding. Total misunderstanding. There is nothing. There is nothing exists at all. This is empty. This what you call a body, but this is what you just mentioned about. This is another what you just mentioned of the body. This is a Dharma body. That's not a human body. In this the Dharma body, there is what you think of. There isn't what you think about the self existing, empty, just empty. So because this is a complete empty, so that when you face death, the things just come out. When you face this, the things that come out, you face it. This is emptiness. You see, if this is a kind of things, this is a kind of things you think about the self, never come out when you face this. This thing never come out. You see, we'll be able to understand because there is nothing intervention. There is nothing intervene between that and this. That's the reason when I face this, it's come out. You see, if the kind of the self, you see, they exist and they intervene this, that and this. See, the things I face never just come out, never come out, because this is empty. Because this is empty. So when I face this, then these things come out. In other words, when I face this, I just become this. I just become this without anything, without anything. You see, very, very easy. Very easy, but for what we think about the self, what it is, what it is. The other things you choose true action, true activity. This is your true activity, true action. When you face this, you just become this. See, when you just face this, you just become this. See, without anything, without anything. This is so wondrous. See, but people never just have any question. See? This is a very much question. So why when I just when I face this, why I just become this? You see? When I face this, I just become this. When I face this, I just become this. Why? See, I never have done anything. Simultaneously, automatically, all of a sudden, whatever this expression. But I just become this. You see, why? We'll be able to just figure out the reason why. You see, this is our true self. You see, true our truth never separate from ourselves. This is our true self. When I face this, I just become dead. When I face this, I just become dead. Oh, yeah. Without doing anything. This is true ourselves. Not this one. What you're thinking about this one is a kind of true. Yeah, she just mentioned this is a kind of true with having a kind of a sixth sense. You see, ear, eyes, nose, and this thing. Oh, kind of true. So thinking also, you see, natural, come on, because this is the tool for thinking or thought. So automatically, this one just to face anything. The thinking or thought just come out without any reason. This is a tool, and not what you think about yourself. See? So that what the people just thinking about the entirely misunderstand what people thinking of themselves is entirely misunderstanding. See, it's very difficult to just realize this matter. See, about the zazen, only zazen, you'll be able to just realize, oh, thinking about the thinking of the thinking also that this kind of thing. See, what as I just mentioned, thinking of thought just come out without any reason, because what people thinking about, as I just mentioned, what people thinking about thinking or thought is there is a kind of body, and there is a kind of what you think about self in this body, and then the kind of self, or kind of self, because the kind of self thinking, thinking, then thinking or thoughts come out. But this is totally misunderstanding. Totally misunderstanding. So never be deceived. There is nothing of what you think about yourself. Nothing of this, what you think about yourself. This is a kind of truth. These two have this tool is installed by six senses. See? So if you just realize that, so you never you never be bothered by life, birth, the days, or the becoming ill, or becoming old, or illness, or becoming old. You never be bothered by those things. You see, because the kind of truth too, entirely different from what you think about yourself. Our true self is when I face death, we just become death. You see, when I face this, we just become death. So, although, as I just mentioned, it's easy to say, but it's very difficult to just realize what it is. You see, but doesn't, only doesn't. Okay, okay. Earthly desires means all the things which come out on human being, everything that appears for better or worse, toward that sort of things you have the feeling good or bad, pick up on the problem and start to deal, which is called earthly desires. So that's, as I just mentioned, you see, the thinking of thought, thinking and thought just come out without any reason, without any reason. So you don't need to take care of them. You don't need to take care of them. Just simply throw them away as they are. This is enough. If you can do it, you never just have any trouble. You never have any trouble. If you just try to figure out what it is, what the reason, what the things come out, then it's gonna be trouble. It's gonna be trouble. Very simple. Very simple. Okay. If you just try to figure out what it is, thinking also do. See, the thinking without, as I just mentioned, without thinking also just come out without any reason. So, see, if you just try to figure out what the reason is, what the kind of the things that you try to deal with or take care of or whatever, then it's gonna be trouble. It's gonna be trouble. That's the earthly desires. That's it's gonna be earthly desires. If simply we just throw them away, let's go then of as there. It's not gonna be trouble at all. Very simple. See, although it's very easy to say, but it's very difficult. But see, it's very variable things for us to do. Only these things we have to do in order to realize who we are. See, our true self is entirely different. What you're thinking about yourself. The as Zen Master Dogen teaches, you see, our true self is complete and universal. Not like what you're thinking about yourself, entirely different. So only these things we have to do is the most valuable thing. Or where is it? The working of the mind do not arise because we think, but they exist from the beginning, regardless of our thinking. And it is active. So, as I just mentioned, if you just try to deal with or think of what it is, what the reason is, the things, the thinking, when the thinking or thoughts just come out in your mind, see? just simply throw them away as they are, because thinking or thought just come out without any reason. That's so that we don't need to. It's not necessary for us. It's not necessary for us to take care of them. Simply throw them away. This is enough. This is Zazen. So then, as I just, if you can do it, you don't have any trouble. Then eventually you will be able to just encounter the truth. So before you encounter the true yourself, see, this and this just disappears completely. This and this completely disappears. Then at this time, you never just realize anything. You never be able to realize anything. Then the things just come out. then you just recognize dead. Then at the same time, you recognize this. Otherwise, you just recognize that thing. See, then you'll be able to just realize, oh, this moment. When I just recognize this, then I recognize this. Before I recognize that, these things never exist. The complete finish. Completely entirely finished. See? And this is what you call the enlightenment. You may say that if you want to say, but nothing different. But saying is, you'll be able to completely satisfy with your present self. No problem at all. See, that's much. Our true service is completely peaceful. Because what you think about the object or the other never exists. This is a true ourselves. So you are you worry about what come up, saying every passion have come up. Whatever the thinking was come up. You see, as I just mentioned about the thinking was just come up without any reason. So you never just supply to just recognize that many thinking will come up. Although you just say the many thinking, but one thinking, just a word, just only word. Many doesn't mean many, but one. Many doesn't mean many. The only one. But that's come out so quickly. See, the 10,000 changing in a second. See, 10,000 changing in a second. See, that's much first. That's much swiftly. That's very quickly just come out. So you just completely be deceived. Oh, so many, but one. So you don't need to worry about it. Whenever just thinking will come out, just only one. See, so you don't need to worry about that. So what's come to mind is just that. But people just, but the thinking also just come out in your mind. People worried about, but you don't need to do it. What's come to mind is just that. What's come to mind? See, only simply thinking or so just simply come out in your mind. That's it. Without any reason. Only just come. See, it's come out and it disappeared and come out. So that's the reason. See, the thinking also just come out. You see, endless. You see, endlessly. See, it's come out. Only one. Only one thinking was just come out and disappeared, come out, disappear. This kind of endless activity, you may say. Although kind of activity never just happen, never be able to aware of. Just as it is. What comes to mind is just that, what comes to mind. You should not be concerned about them. See, just simply, just throw them away. Simply throw them away as they are. Simply let's go them all as they are. This is enough. Why? Because, yes, because you do it, you are in trouble. Yes, this. See, if you just try to figure out what it is, what's the reason it's come out, it's gonna be trouble. It's gonna be trouble. Only this. See, you're gonna have a trouble, question, problem, or suffering, whatever you just do. You may say. After that, you start worrying about it. Then you just grip it, you just hold it, and graph said, then you just, the more you just try to figure out what's the reason, what's the thing, endlessly, you just, endlessly just drop down the kind of a trouble, kind of a quiz, a kind of a congratulation. So because you do it, you are in trouble. After that, you start worrying about it. If it remains just as it is, there is nothing to worry about. You see, very simple. You see, the thinking was just common and then disappear. Nothing left at all. So why you have to just figure out why you have to deal with the kind of thinking. But see, but this is a function of the memory. That is a function of a memory. See, what people thinking about the kind of thinking was just left anywhere, somewhere else. So that people just try to figure that people just pick up the kind of thinking was completely disappeared. Pick up the things and try to figure what the reason that kind of thinking was common. It's a totally useless. You see, nothing left. Nothing left. The things just the thing just exists as it is when I faced it. See, the things as it is. This is all the existence when I faced it. See, what you just thinking about? What is whatever just kind of thinking was come out in your mind? Never be left at all. Never remain. You see, the thing is the thing is you faced it. This is only exists. See, just look at very carefully. Look at very carefully. Things what you think about the terrible question, whatever it's the of the thinking also never exist. Never exist. The things just only exist is the things you face right now, right here. See, very simple. But although it's a very simple, although it's very simple, but people, because it's very simple, so people always deceived and confused. Yeah, sorry to say, it's funny, very strange, very strange. The things just exist. The things just exist. Whatever just you face, the things you face, all this, nothing else, nothing anymore, nothing anymore. Never be deceived. So that there is nothing to worry about. Then you know that what you call earthly. Earthly desires are not earthly desires. It's only word, only word. You know much about word or letter, but you don't know much about the truth truth of the earthly desire or the whatever, whatever you're thinking about as the word or letters. You see, even earthly desire doesn't mean earthly desire. Earthly desires. You see, so once the Jinen Roshi teaching us, you see, when you say fire is hot, fire is hot. See, fire is hot. But when you say fire is hot, your your mouth never burned. See, but doesn't mean anything. Okay. Then you know that what you call earthly desire, not earthly desires, and will naturally settle down. See, very simple. When you never deal with thinking or thought, see, you completely settle down without anything, without doing anything. Always, you are completely settled down. You see, in order you are completely satisfied with present condition, nothing trouble at all. Once you just try to without other thinking or thoughts come up in your mind, it's gonna be trouble. That's it. People have their own thought and deal with things in their own way. See, this is a kind of the functional recognition or kind of the consciousness. You see, when I face death, as I just mentioned, I just become dead. This is our truth. This is our true self. See, then you recognize almost the same time you recognize death. Then, see, as long as you just recognize the things, this and this have to be separated. Otherwise, you never just be able to just recognize death. So when you recognize this, then at the same time you recognize death. Otherwise, you recognize this something. Before you recognize this one never exists. Before recognition, this one never exists. See, this is very important. See, it's just so quickly switching so that people completely be deceived. This kind of a trick. This is trick. When you face this, you just become this. That's it. And when you face this, when I just become this and finish, nothing left at all. But the kind of function of the recognition or function of consciousness, it starts when it's just like this, then kind of separation between this and this. then kind of what you think of the self come out at this moment. Before you recognize this, what you think about the self never exists. Never exists. People have their own thought and deal with things in their own will. See? Although this kind of will, this kind of thinking, we never deny it, but that is not the truth. That is not the truth. See? True. What the truth is before recognition. Before recognition. No separation at all between this and this. No separation. A kind of self never added. See? The activity, what activity? Before, what activity of the before recognition is just hearing, talking, listening, having, eating, doing, without what you think about yourself. Very simple. See, we are just doing in this way. We are doing this. All this activity and action just exists. See? Then you just recognize that activity or action. You recognize that so that simply that activity or that action and this kind of separate. Then a kind of thinking also just come out. Oh, I'm doing, I'm eating, I have see, kind of the idea just come up. This is not a truth. Before recognition, before consciousness, this is our true self. If you just realize that, see, the Shakyamuni Buddha or the patriarchs just recommended us to do zazen. What zazen is, whatever just thinking or thoughts just come out in your mind. Simply throw them away as the let's go then, or as the this is enough. This zazen, if you just completely do, then you'll be able to encounter through yourself. That's it. And on the whole, the things itself is left to the movement in its own way. You see? Then finish. See? Nothing left at all. See? Then you just recognize this activity or action or why. Then it's a start kind of thinking or thought. Why Jinen just clap his hand? Nothing left at all. They try to figure out what the reason why. Totally useless. Okay, we should not do that at all. Simply forget about what's happened. Simply forget about what's happened. That's enough. It's enough to stop it. Okay, it's enough. And on the whole, the things itself is left to the movement is in its own way. That is zazen of Shakyamuni Buddha and the Petri. See, this way you will be able to encounter through yourself. Okay. So this zazen, we would like to just recommend you to do. Yeah, as I just mentioned, zazen is a very simple. 1 square meter space is enough. 1 square meter, not whole universe, but 1 square, not whole universe, but 1 square meter. It's a kind of round cushion is enough. The simple say. The I was just thinking also, just throw them away. Okay, this is other. would like to recommend you to do. So you can simply, you can do anyway. You can do, if you have a great, if you have a tremendous huge desire to just realize who you are, you can do it. You can do it. The reality is untouched. Observation is to investigate what has already been done as a fact and to attach thought to it. This is a whole problem. Just simple so that just we never just. It's not necessary for us to figure out what's reason. The things that the thinking or thought just come up. You see, because as I just mentioned, thinking or thoughts just come out without any reason. Without any reason. So it's not necessary for us to just figure out the reason why the kind of thinking or thought come up. Just simply slow down. Simply let's go then. How about this is enough. If it is a fact itself, there will be no problem. You see? You just become this sound, the finish, without any trouble. You see? Unless you just try to figure out what the reason, the crazy crap is, that's unnecessary. That's it. Okay. This doesn't. The Shakyamuni Buddha or the patriarchs just recommend us to do. If you have a great desire to figure out or to just encounter through yourself, this doesn't. You'll be able to encounter. You will be able to just encounter, but you will be able to face it through yourself, as I just mentioned. Through ourselves is entirely different. See, as Master Zoe mentions, our true self is complete, perfect, complete and universal. That's much huge, not like what we just think about the self. So it's your choice. Hi, thank you so much. So we'll be able to just name. Right.